In this video, I'm going to show how to create this table. We have years in this column, and over here we have different categories of body mass index of BMI. We have underweight here, prevalence of underweight during the specific years, prevalence of normal weight, prevalence of overweight, and prevalence of obesity in this last column. And in the final column over here, we have a sum of the prevalences from each category, so we just check that it sums up to 100%. We will start with data that looks like this. Here we have just the raw data as decimal numbers here. We have the labels of the categories and we have the years. So first thing I do is to convert these numbers to percent. I select them all and choose this shortcut here, percent, and I center them. We could also do this in another way. I regret it with the Control Z, select them all and either go here, format cells, or right click to format cells, and here choose percentage, no decimal places. OK. And we have the same result, and I center these numbers. Next, I will format the headers. This header here, body mass index, could stretch over all the 4 cells. So I select them and right click, choose format cells, alignment, merge cells. OK. Now these 4 cells have become one big cell. And I center the text and I will put a black border around it. I will make the background color dark blue and the text white and bold. I will use the same format for this cell year. And if I now copy this format, we will also copy the merge of the cells. So let's try. I press Format Painter and select this cell. And we see that now this cell also stretches over 4 cells, and that was not what we wanted. So Control Z to regret, Escape to get rid of this Format Painter, and I will format this manually instead. We have the dark blue color, the outside border, the white text, and bold. And I will center this one as well. This cell over here could actually have the same format as this one, so I just use the Format Painter and select the cell. Let's center the years, and we put a border around them. The same thing with the body mass index categories, a border around them and center them. We could even use a border around each cell, so I select them all and choose this option, all borders. And also, of course, a border around the numbers. Like that. I will format these cells to have blue background, white text, and bold. And I think actually I will remove the border around the cells and just keep the border around all the categories. So I remove no border and then add outside border, like this. Last thing to do is to add a sum in this column, the sum of the prevalences during the specific year, just to check that it adds up to 100%. So I write sum here, press enter, and now this automatically got the same format as over here. So to get rid of this format, I could go to this button here, clear formats. Let's see what happens. Yeah, and now it just became like a normal cell, like any of these other cells. And here I will add a function that sums up these 4 prevalences. I will go to Formulas, Insert Function. I will select all and scroll down to the sum function. Here we have it, sum adds all the numbers in a range of cells. OK. And the range of cells, it has proposed something, F12 to J12, which is this cell to this cell, row 12 and F to J, but we shouldn't have this number included in the sum. This is the year. I could change that manually like this. Delete and write G instead. Or I could select this button and just select manually in this way. Now this did not get right. Okay, so I delete everything here and press this button and select the cells I want to be part of the sum and press enter. And OK. And here we see it sums up to 100%. We get a green little corner here. If we select a cell, we have an exclamation mark. The formula in this cell refers to a range that has additional numbers adjacent to it. It wants to add this number as well, that's why it gives us this warning. So we could just click here and choose ignore error to get rid of it. Or we could add another column here, make it really tight to just make this one be separated from the other numbers. Or we could also go to File, Options, Formulas, Enable Background Error Checking, and uncheck this option. Now the green corner has disappeared. Let's double check that this formula works correctly. So I double click on it and see that we have the sum function and it sums up these numbers here. Another way to do this, I will delete it, is to just add them together. I click on the target cell and write equal sign, choose the first cell plus the second cell plus the third cell plus the fourth cell and press enter. 100%. A third way is to write this in manually, the sum function. I start with an equal sign and then write sum, which is the command for this function. And this command is language specific. If you're using another language than English, you will have to write something else in your language. If you don't know what to write, insert the formula using the insert function the first time, and then you see what the command is. So sum, and then start parentheses, and I select the range, the 4 cells, end parentheses, and I press enter. And I get 100%. Now, instead of doing the same thing on all the other cells, I could just copy this cell down. I select it and move the mouse to the right down corner where the cross becomes thinner like this. Left click and drag it down. And we have copied the formula down, the whole column. And to double check that this was done correctly, I just double click anywhere here and see that it's summing up the cells on the left on the same row. And we also see that it sums up to 100% all over. Another way to do that is to double click instead of dragging. Then it will fill down as long as there are numbers to the left. Last thing, I will just format this. I will center it and give it a gray color. And finally, I will remove the grid lines. And here we have the final table.